With 28 years later, the Bone Temple being released on the 16th, in only a few days really, I thought it would be fun to talk about the franchise today and to kind of think about what we could expect from this new film. Let's start off by recapping the 3 films that we already have, starting all the way back at 28 Days Later. This came out in 2002 by director Danny Boyle. At the start of this film, we get an explanation and we see how this virus first started. We see some animal activists break into a lab that are testing on animals, and in this case we see them try to break a monkey out. This monkey has been subjected to a rage virus and is shown lots of disturbing imagery. Scientists have turned this monkey into a really aggressive being, so when the activists release him, he bites them and they become infected. This virus spreads very rapidly because we see a man who is in hospital, and only 28 days later, the impact on so many communities living in this post-apocalyptic world. Our main character Jim wakes up in a hospital room. He has no idea what's been happening because the last thing that he knew was just humanity as it had always been. So when he wakes up, he can't find anyone and he has to quickly learn that there are some very dangerous beings. We see Jim try to navigate life and come to terms with what's happened to the life that he once knew. It's extremely sad. You can see how lonely he is and how many emotions he goes through. He does meet some other survivors. He meets quite a few people along the way, some good and some not so good. It has a really gritty feeling to it, and how it's filmed, I've seen a lot of comments of people saying like it was filmed on like an old Nokia or something, and it does kind of look like that. But Danny Boyle has said that the reason why he wanted to film it in this way, to make it not look like a big high production, is that it almost does look like found footage. It kind of looks like cameras or surveillance footage, and it does just really work in this film. Its sequel, 28 Weeks Later, does have a bit more of a polished look. There is still some grit in there. Obviously, as the title suggests, it's set 28 weeks after the virus first started. We see different characters. We mainly follow a family, and they're living in kind of a rehabilitation unit filled with survivors away from the virus, mainly following 2 younger siblings. Their father has managed to get them a new temporary home within this unit. He lets them know that they're going to have to find a new home. They won't be able to go back to their old home, but they're keen to go back for their old stuff, old memories, especially of their mother that their father said watched die. The siblings break out of the confined unit and go back to their old home, where they actually find more than just some old memories. Interesting to see as the films progress how far the survivors of this apocalypse have come, which we really see in 28 years later. Almost 30 years since this virus once started, a community have learnt to survive and thrive. They live off an island which is away from the mainland where the infected live. They've managed to build a community and basically start from scratch. Living on this island is a young boy called Spike. He lives there with his mum and dad. His mum is unfortunately really sick. As Spike is getting older, his dad decides that it's time that he took him out to the mainland to go out there scavenging, hunting for supplies and anything that they could have for the island. This is a standard practice for the people on the island. Obviously, it's risky, so they have to be prepared. Spike and his dad set off. When they're over there, they find more than just supplies. Spike starts to get a bit of hope that there may be help for his mother out there, but the father and son duo return to the island, back to their community, and celebrate Spike's first time ever going back to the mainland. Everyone's celebrating, but all Spike can think about is that he may be able to get help for his mum, who is progressively getting worse. So he ends up running away by himself back to the mainland where the massive dangers lie. When he is out there, he comes face to face with threats, but he also meets some other survivors along the way. We do actually find out what the Bone Temple is and who the person who created the Bone Temple is. Although I'm doing a plot overview of all of the films, I'm still gonna try to not delve too deep into spoilers, but I am going to say the last scene that we get in 28 Years Later, obviously this is a spoiler, but I'm not going to talk about all the contents in this film. At the end, Spike actually comes face to face with a gang called the Jimmies. Throughout the film, we've kind of seen like some spray painting saying like Jimmies were here, and also seen some things that the Jimmies have done that seem very questionable. When the film just ends with them meeting each other, we just kind of know that something isn't going to be quite right. We know that the Jimmies probably don't have the best intentions for Spike. So before I get into what we can expect from the Bone Temple and my predictions for the film, I'm going to quickly rank the first three, talk about some of the common themes, and then we can see what we may expect. It's really difficult because there are parts of each of them that I really enjoy, and with 28 Years Later, I really liked the first half of it, but the second half just wasn't really my kind of film. I feel like they were very different. It almost felt like a complete tone shift into a different genre. It was much more of a drama journey kind of thing in the second half, whereas the first half felt really gritty, and I had that same feeling as when I watched the first two films. Definitely felt like more of a horror film at the beginning. I did still enjoy it, but I do think that this one is going to be in last place. I think if I had to rank them, it would be 28 Years Later, then it would be 28 Weeks Later, and then my number one being 28 Days Later. So kind of favouring them in order of what they came out. Let me know your ranking in the comments. Some of my favourite things about these films, one is definitely that the infected are a background element and that we get other villains. We get obviously people that have become their true selves given the circumstances and are taking advantage of people, and some being just utterly insane. I really like the filming style for all of these films. We get some strange and unusual angles that are very unique to this franchise. They all have quite emotional storylines with characters that go on different journeys within this world, and we go along with them. We feel all the things that they are feeling too. All three of the films are quite heavy on like sadness and grief, which is obvious given the circumstance, but some films that follow viruses or zombies don't focus so much and so heavily on these themes, whereas I feel like it's really central to the plot of these films. From the first film, you can definitely see the progression of the film style changing, but it still does keep to some of those elements of these strange angles and having that gritty look. I definitely felt it more in the first half of 28 Years Later. So what can we expect from 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple? Well, we can see that it's going to be a continuation from 28 Years Later. How we ended that film on kind of a cliffhanger. It's a moment that we are kind of desperate to see play out and to find out what happens following the meeting of Spike and the Jimmies. We didn't get to see a whole lot of the Jimmies, and I expect that this one is going to be full of them and we're really going to get to see their story. I have said a little bit about this in a previous video, but in case you haven't seen that one or anyone else talk about it, the Jimmies look a certain way, and that is because their character is based on Jimmy Savile. Now, we know that Jimmy Savile is a absolutely disgusting human being, but in this universe, he was never outed for his crimes. People still thought that he was this beloved British icon. Many people looked up to him, and we can just assume that the Jimmies do too. We'll still be, of course, following our main character of the young boy Spike. We can only expect to see the Bone Temple again and for it to be a big part of this film. We still have the alpha zombie out there called Samson, who is a much stronger variant than the others. I think it would take a lot to get rid of him. I do think that he was definitely in the first film and he survived the first film for a reason. Will he play a part in maybe helping them somehow? Could they find a way to communicate with him, seeing as he is a kind of more advanced variant? He's stronger. Is he also smarter? Could they find a way to communicate with him and maybe find some common ground or something? I don't know if that's going to be possible. but I do think it would be interesting to see. Nia DaCosta is directing this next film. She is not new to the horror franchise because she brought us the 2021 adaptation of Candyman. She has also directed and been a part of the production for a number of other films, so I think it's safe to say that this franchise is in safe hands. We do still have Danny Boyle and Alex Garland working on this film as part of the production, who have been part of the films since the beginning. I'm really interested to see where this next one is going to go. I'm so excited to see it. It's always going to be such a fun cinema experience. Definitely let me know your predictions in the comments. Don't put any spoilers in there, obviously, if you've seen it early or anything, because I haven't seen it yet and there'll be a ton of other people who also haven't seen it. I will definitely be watching it as soon as it comes out. Let me know if I should do a review of it or not. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one.